Can you see her tail? I didn't grow a tail, that's not mine. Weenie, weenie. I mean, I feel like if I had a tail, it would be just like Winnie's. Hi friends, welcome back to another pizza party. I'm Mrs. Pizza. Winnie is down here, you wanna see? Being the bestest good girl. Really, she's here for the scritches. And Cheese is actually being our director and currently standing right behind the camera. And it's making me a little nervous because I'm pretty sure it's because they're squirrels. Are you done? There she goes. There goes the cheese. And I'm here time traveling yet again to start off this video and tell you that we're gonna do some really fun reading. I found a new favorite series, read some spooky books, had a great time. Overall, did my favorite thing. I read some damn books. But to start off this video, we are going to be picking up a new to me book that I actually picked up because my in real life book club that I'm starting with two friends who are big fantasy fans. We looked at some books, took a spinner wheel, let it spin, and this was the book it picked for us to talk about while enjoying, I don't know, charcuterie and cupcakes. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to be serving at my book club, but that book is the Tainted Cup. This has received quite a few awards. We were really excited to pick it up. And I mean, I'm not gonna give you spoilers. You have to watch the next clip to know what this book is about. So let's get it started. Let's read some books. Honestly, I'm doing this to see if this new microphone thing's set up. For the person who commented about the blinking light, I now can't unsee it. So I'm trying my best to figure out how to make sure that my microphone doesn't blink. This should work. If you're not seeing this, we'll never know. You'll never know. I'll know. Why are we here? Jiminy Christmas. I started a book. I started reading The Tainted Cup. I'm really in the mood for fantasy right now, so I'm going to just ride that. I'm gonna ride that wave. I am about 60 pages into this, and this is a lot darker than I anticipated, which is making me incredibly happy. I went into this with the bare bones notion of Sherlock Holmes, but make it fantasy, and though I am not a huge mystery person per se, if you make it a fantasy mystery and it gets a little dark and gruesome, yes. Absolutely yes. We open the story with our character Din, and he is the assistant to a very important investigator, and he has shown up on his very first murder case. His job is to go around this entire crime scene, take in all of the details, and report back to the investigator that he assists. We find out pretty quickly that in this fantasy world, we are in an area that is incredibly botanically focused. It is very, very interesting. They have these giant mushrooms whose whole job is to cool large areas of this house. The walls are made of something called fern paper, but the gruesome and dark thing you need to know about the botanical foliage nonsense happening in this giant and very, very ritzy, wealthy person house is that the reason Din is here is because a dead body has been found with a tree growing through it. This man was killed via tree. And this is not something that would usually happen in this fantasy world. This tree grew incredibly fast and tore this man completely apart. So Din walks around, interviews a few people that work in this household, and then reports back to the investigator that he serves that is giving very much Sherlock in that she's so smart, but incredibly insufferable. Her people skills are zero. Both Din and the investigator that he serves have been augmented in this fantasy world. Din has been magically altered in order to recall all the details of everything he experiences. So everything he hears and sees can be recalled with absolute perfection, to the point where if he was to stand up in court and report what he saw, it would be taken as law, as fact, as unnegotiable. He works for this investigator who has been also magically altered in some way. We are not 100% sure at the beginning of the story how she's been altered, but it's quite apparent that she has been very drastically altered. She asks a lot of wild and slightly awkward questions to people that help her get to the answers she's seeking. She's taking in all of the details that Din brings her and solving crimes, but this is their first murder case that they're working on together because they are kind of in the backwoods. This investigator she has been relocated. Is that the correct word? That just came out of somewhere. But she has been slightly banished, let's say. She's been moved out to the middle of nowhere to this backwoods, as she calls it, little area where she is now the head investigator. This is a post that was made specifically for her. And she's been given Din as an assistant, and this is his first assistant job. He is still an apprentice. He isn't even a full assistant yet. But we are getting little insights into this world where they live. One of the big things being that they have these things called leviathans, and they have a rain season. To the east of this country is the ocean. There is a giant seawall, and every year around the same time, giant leviathans come out of the water and attack the seawall trying to get inland. This is a hostile environment to live in and has a lot of people with magical augmentations. We are investigating a wild fantasy murder taking place in a very affluent and wealthy family's home. So far, it's dark, it's mystery, it's fantasy, and I'm having a great time. Perfect. We finished a book, and this was a 5-star read. I inhaled this book. All of the hype that I have heard for this is truly justified. I loved the mystery aspect of this. I felt like it was incredibly well done. This is a fully fleshed out and truly original fantasy world. And though we do have the dynamic, and lots of people say it is Sherlock Holmes inspired, and though that does exist, Din, our main character, who is kind of the assistant, he's no slouch. Like, he is doing a great job at picking up details, finding clues. He is good at being an investigator. He has secrets that he's trying to keep about his past. He's developing relationships with characters that he's encountering. And then we have his boss, Anna, who is playing 4D chess. Din is smart. Anna is literally on another plane. She is doing so much more than it is possible to do inside of her brain, making connections, figuring things out. She's playing the long game. Both characters, truly interesting. Anna is hilarious. But I loved the mystery in this because we are getting reveal after reveal. The mystery is getting larger. There's different characters involved. It's just unraveling while being in this hostile fantasy world with someone who is new, just new to being an investigator. Truly enjoyed this. Loved it so much that I picked up the next book. I can't tell you the last time that I wanted to immediately pick up the next book in a series, and yet I was not done with Anna and Din. I needed more. And so we are going to pick up the next book in this series and keep solving mysteries in a fantasy world. I'm just so excited. I also was lucky enough to receive an arc of a book that I have been so excited about picking up. Last year, I read Blood on Her Tongue and truly enjoyed it. It is a gothic, just gothic as hell. Like, that book is gothic as and I had such a good time that when I saw that author had a new book coming out that is a historical horror with some sort of like magical elements, but also sapphic, like, say less. I put in for the arc, crossed my fingers, and was lucky enough to receive Bone of My Bone. This, as far as I know, let me actually look before I start telling you things that aren't true. The year is 1635. We have a young nun named Sister Ursula who is fleeing the ruins of her convent, and Elsbeth, a sharp-witted peasant girl. These two escape a band of soldiers intent on causing them every kind of harm possible and are trying to survive together as they trek through the woods away from this attack that happened. When they come upon a dead body, and in this dead body's possession is a skull that looks to be the skull of a saint. So these two women are now in possession of what could be a holy relic. But there is also a character referred to as the necromancer who is drawn to this skull and its power. We are following these two women. They don't know what's after them, and they are just surrounded on all sides by horrific nonsense. This says, Bone of My Bone delivers a deliciously disturbing tale about survival and the choices we're forced to make along the way. Let's do some reading. All right, I had to update you because I'm already like halfway through the second book. This is a drop of corruption. And if I didn't stop to update you now, I was going to finish this dang thing without ever telling you anything about it. Now, in case you need to know, I won't be giving any spoilers, obviously, but this is the second book, so I'm going to try my best. So in this story, we were following Din yet again. We are several years out from the very first book. He is still Anna's assistant, and Anna is still Anna. At this point, they have several more investigations underneath their belt. We have not been there for those, but now they have a little more experience working together and solving big old crimes. And it sounds like they have traveled quite a wide variety of places within this empire. But in this story, we end up in a very distant territory. This area is soon to be part of the empire due to some deal that was made 100 years ago involving a previous king. He, in order to gain some of the wealth and protection of the empire, made a deal that he would sign over all of his lands in 100 years, and that deal is about to come due. There is a lot going on in this land at this time. They are about to become part of the empire instead of an independent territory. Din arrives here because a treasury secretary, someone involved in this merger of this territory into the empire in a monetary sense. Money sense. He is called the Taxman by a couple of locals. There's a large group of these people that show up, but one of them is murdered, and Din shows up expecting a body and only receiving a few pieces. The only clues they have available to this crime is that the person that they found dead arrived, went to the bank, deposited something, went to bed because they weren't feeling well, and the next morning somehow disappeared from a completely locked room. The only thing left behind was a bunch of blood on the bed, and then sometime later, several body parts were found in a swamp-like area. This location on this fantasy map is much more humid, jungle-like. We're traveling on boats, and a lot of people don't even speak the same language as Din. Now, Din has arrived, Anna is shortly to come, and they start investigating this crime, having to, once again, piece together clues in this magical, botanical world. Instead of being at the seaside with the threat of leviathans coming over a seawall, we are now in a jungle where leviathans are nearby, dismembered and used for magical parts. There's this place nearby that is involved in magical scientific investigation, and that has led to the augmentations of a lot of people within this society. So there is this like horrible Frankenstein science monster laboratory just off the coast of this jungle town full of bugs and animals and giant tropical plants. It sounds humid as hell, everyone's sweating, and there's a crime to be solved. I'm loving this. Once again, Anna's hilarious. Like, Anna wins the prize for saying the most hilarious stuff. My favorite quote so far from Anna in this book is, "I feel we needn't bother looking at faces to find this man. Din, just keep an eye out for a fellow with testicles large enough to cause back deformities, and we shall have our culprit." Like, Anna, start doing stand-up, girl. So once again, Din solving a crime, being a super smart investigator. Anna solving the crime way before she even tells everybody she solved it. We're collecting clues. We're traveling through jungles. We're learning about the lore and the backstory of the magic system with these leviathans and these magical augmentations that people have. I'm gonna finish this so fast. First of all, it needs to be stated that it is so hot and humid outside, and I am about to walk to the library. Now, one of my favorite things is walking to the library, so I shouldn't be complaining, but I hate when this weather shows up. It shows up every year. I don't know why I haven't just come to terms with it. The windows in my house are fogged up, and the AC is not even that high. It is just like a sauna. It's just like moist like Satan's crack. In case you wanted to know. We are here because I finished a book. We get another 5-star out of this series. Now, am I purely rating on my emotions and feelings going through this? Maybe. But this is my video and I can do what I want. This, once again, we are traveling with Din and Anna. We get more of Anna's backstory in this, but very minimal. Like most books in most fantasy series, the world is opening up and you're getting a little bit more information about unanswered questions in every single book. But by no means do we not still have mysteries around these two? I absolutely loved this. I liked the mystery just fine. I think that it is the unraveling of the mystery, obviously, that is the important part. This is such a unique fantasy world, and being in this new setting with weather, honestly, very similar to what I'm currently experiencing in my own home. It was so humid, so hot, so stifling, so sticky, big tropical plants and bugs, and very, very much a different locale than the first book, even though it is taking place in the same world. And it is very obvious that these two places could simultaneously exist not too far away from each other, within the same country. I mean, but honestly, as someone that lives in the United States, the vast size of it, literally every ecosystem apparently exists. But this was just so stinking good. We now have Din, who is a somewhat more experienced investigator, dealing with some issues that he was dealing with in the first book, but wholly new issues in this book. We have Anna being hilarious. She's just so much smarter than everyone else, and she knows it. But she's not pretentious and snobby. She's just exasperated with everybody just not being as smart as she is. This was fun. This was fun. I will pick up the third book as soon as it comes out. I believe it comes out in August of this year. I don't know how many books are planned in this series. If it's 3, I'm going to be really sad. Like, if the third book is the ending of the series, I'm going to be so sad. But I absolutely loved this. 2 5-star books in the same series in a row. I'm feeling amazing. I have not picked up more of Bone of My Bone. I think I'm only 20%. So of the percent I've read, you don't need any more information. The synopsis I've already given you is what has happened so far and what I've read. I am going to go to the library because, once again, the library does not space out my holds. It seems like it takes forever for me to get a book, and then they all show up at the exact same time. I don't know what that is, but we're gonna go pick up some books from the library. I am thinking that I already know what I'm going to pick up and it's already in this house, but who knows? One of the books at the library might call to me more. So let's go to the library and pick up some books. So I had all intents of telling you about this book before I reached the halfway point. But then I got into reading it, and now we're at the halfway point. Also, yes, my bookmark is a piece of wrapping paper that says happy birthday. I don't know. I'm one of those horrible, horrible gremlins that just uses whatever is closest by as a bookmark. We are reading Sarafina. This is a new release horror that is taking place during the Civil War in America. I have read one book from this author before, a couple months back. What was it? Autumn Springs Retirement Home Massacre. And enjoyed my time. This is supposed to be this author at top-notch form. They have come into their stride, according to the foreword written by Nick Cutter. And in the opening of the story, we meet Ethan, who is a 17-year-old. He is a Confederate soldier, and we meet him in the throes of battle. It is horrific and awful. And Ethan, although now being a soldier in this war for some time now, is still 17. He went to war at 16, a child soldier. This battle goes horribly. It was absolutely awful. And so at the end of this battle, his 2 brothers find him kind of holed up. Like, he found a tiny place to hide during the people getting absolutely blown to smithereens. And his 2 brothers find him and they're like, we're out of here. So the 3 of them decide to go AWOL. They are traveling through the woods with minimal supplies, injured, dirty, hungry, it's raining, and they're just trying to get home, but they also have to avoid being found out because it's punishable by death at this point to go AWOL from battle, from being a soldier. We spend about almost close to 100 pages just traveling with them as they are trying to elude capture, find things to eat, surviving injuries. They are not doing great, but they're just trying to get home. When they travel through a swamp and then suddenly find an oasis, it's Ethan who finds it when he sees a young boy and a grove full of pear trees that are completely full of fruit out of season. Ethan and his 2 brothers then travel into this strangely fertile area and find a homestead and the woman who owns it, who is our titular Sarafina. Now, at the halfway point, we are starting to get some ominous feelings about Sarafina, about the place these men are in. But the thing you should know is that Ethan's 2 older brothers are not good men. They are not good people. And although they have all done horrible things in war, Mason and Archie are not good guys. Yet they are Ethan's older brother, so there is this familial bond, but they are just not the type of people that you would want to be alone with in the woods. But Ethan is not like his brothers. Though he comes from this existence where their father is a very hard man, his two older brothers have been formed into these very hard, evilly inclined, is how we'll put it. Ethan is different because he is genuinely down in his insides at this point, a good man. Aside from everything he's seen, everything he's witnessed in war, throughout his life, Ethan is still a good person. He also has the tether that is Ellie, which is his twin sister, who is still back at home. And he often will, instead of praying to God, he will kind of like speak to Ellie personally as his own form of prayer. Even though Ellie can't hear him, he'll speak to Ellie like she's there as a way of comforting himself or just alleviating himself from some of the just pressures of what's going on around him. We mainly stay in Ethan's head. We have had one moment where we have one chapter that has been outside of Ethan's point of view, but other than that, we're with Ethan taking in everything in this strange paradise that they've happened upon, that he is starting to see the cracks in the veneer. From the very beginning, he seems very leery of how perfect this place is. But when you are injured, hungry, sick, tired, you're going to take those handouts when they come. He just hasn't lost his suspicion for Sarafina and what's happening on this land. I think this is going to get bonkers. But we have got half of this book for it to lose its mind. I will say there are some gory bits in there. This is definitely a horror, but I'm not so much scared as right now I'm anxious along with Ethan to see where this goes. Most of the gory bits in the beginning have to do with war or Ethan and his brothers eluding. I think they call them the guards, but they're the people that were basically empowered to catch AWOL soldiers and drag them back to be hanged for leaving. So there's been fights and injury and battle, but I think we're going to get even more crazy as we continue on in this strange, ominously magical feeling place. Nothing overtly magical has happened, but it's just too good to be true. We'll see. All right, we are here because we finished a book. It's like stupid hot outside. I don't know why I thought this was a good idea. The humidity is humiditying right now. Maybe we should start over because my neighbor's air conditioning unit just turned off. So now you can probably hear all the Amazon trucks. They make this like weird little jingle. I don't know. Anyways, hi, we're here because I finished a book. This I ended up giving 3.5 stars. I liked it just fine. I don't think this was scary, which this might sound weird, but for a horror book, something doesn't necessarily have to be scary. For me, it just has to give me some sort of anxiety for the characters or the situation they're going through. And I feel like this did sometimes, but I did like how there were certain characters that we were introduced to and we developed certain opinions about them, whether they be good guys, bad guys, what have you, but everybody was a lot more complicated than that. And their actions started to really show us who they were as a character. You had to be paying attention to some things the character said to really get a full idea of what type of person they were. It's nice when you think that you're dealing with a good guy character and they're not a good guy character or a bad guy character. And like, maybe not everything they're doing is that bad guy. I mean, some of the stuff they're doing is bad guy, but some of it you're like, I mean, didn't these people deserve this? Our main villain are Sarafina. We know from just the fact that this book is titled Sarafina that our titular character is going to be somewhat a shady type character. She is not going to be everything that she seems. This got big, this got cosmic, the lore got very, very large. I think the ending was fine. I had a decently okay time. Is this going to give me nightmares? No. Honestly, and this isn't one of those horror books that's going to like keep replaying in my mind either. I feel like some horror books, even if they don't necessarily scare me or give me anxiety, I think about them a lot later, and I don't think this is going to be one that necessarily takes up camp inside my brain, but that's okay. not every book needs to knock it out of the park. I'm not mad. I read it. I enjoyed it. And Winnie is currently making a lot of noise. There is like some sort of creature, some little critter that has made its home somewhere near the underside of my deck, and Winnie's on a mission to do a murder. So we've got one last book to finish for this vlog. I think I'm like 50% of the way through that book. I'm enjoying it. I am actually enjoying it. It's just, I'm sure I've already mentioned this in this video, with it being from NetGalley, I have the NetGalley app on my phone, and that is the only place I have it. So I am reading it on my phone, which is not my preferred way to read anything at all. But I'm gonna let the dogs play outside for a little bit, and then we'll get back to reading. All right, we finished a book, and unfortunately, I didn't end up loving this one, which is really heartbreaking because having liked something from this author before, I was totally anticipating that this was going to be a new favorite, that I was going to be absolutely in love. It had a lot of ingredients in the recipe that usually adds up to a fantastic experience for me, but that's unfortunately not what happened. At the 50% mark, I was still having a good time, absolutely having a great time. By the 60% mark, I started to lose a lot of interest in what's going on. And by the 70% mark, I almost put it down. Now, we're going to make ourselves a little compliment sandwich. I really liked the storyline of Otto and the Necromancer, and I feel like that should have been a whole book. And the implications of Otto previously being I don't believe this is much of a spoiler because this is basically Otto's whole storyline, and this happens very quickly. But Otto previously was a soldier, a mercenary, a not great guy. Not only did he witness a lot of things and did not step in to do the right thing, but he also actively did things that were horrible. But like a lot of people in this time period, he was able to rationalize it away as this is war. We get to do what we want. Like, we get to do whatever we want because we're the good guys and you're the bad guys. It's not how things work. But Otto comes under the influence of this necromancer and really has a reckoning, like an arc. He really has to come to terms with who he is and who he was, and if he had the chance, who he would want to be. I thought that was incredibly interesting. I also liked the idea of the necromancer. There is a big reveal, kind of giving more backstory on the necromancer, which was fine. I felt like there was quite the exposition dump when this could have been just a couple of sentences instead of a whole backstory of what's going on, and still had the impact it did. Now, middle of the sandwich. I found Sister Ursula and Elsbeth's story. In the beginning, I was really intrigued by them. Then there's like this scene that happens at the river with some sticks, and I don't really know what we were going for there, but it came across as both really horny and really boring, and honestly, that's a skill, to make something horny and boring at the same time. Like, it was not sexy, it was weird. I found their storyline to get tedious. There was a lot of repetition. I know why you two are on this adventure. You do not need to keep reminding me what your personal motivations for your journey are. Yet it felt like we were constantly reiterating why they were doing what they were doing. And even though they were going through all of these different vignettes within the story, even though some of the things that were happening to them were interesting, I kind of found them boring. I'm sorry, I found them boring. By the 70% mark, I was mainly skimming their sections. I just was not invested in them as characters, which is unfortunate because they were our main characters. They were who we were supposed to become emotionally tied up in, and I just wasn't there. And the ending was fine, but it felt very on the nose. Okay, we need another compliment. To make it a full sandwich. I really liked some of the folklore elements in this, some of the different horrific folklore monster type things that were encountered. I found that incredibly interesting, and the implications of the skull, that, like, when you really think about that, that is horrific, absolutely horrific. But yet I felt like there wasn't enough weight put on, oh my God, like that is a horrific thing. And yet instead we were worried about whether or not Sister Ursula and Elsbeth were going to kiss again. Like, I I didn't care about those two characters and their romance, which was unfortunate. I'm sorry, we were supposed to be saying good things. Now we've just made a tower of compliments and negative things. My compliment sandwich didn't work, but unfortunately I ended up giving it 2 stars. I think I bumped it up to 2.5, honestly, because I was just disappointed because I've liked books from this author before. My disappointment was like, they gave you an arc. You have to give it at least a half star more than that. I'm so sad about this. Like, I really am sad. But otherwise, I had an incredible reading time. Like, I've been reading some really good books of late, so it didn't throw me off my game. I'm still going to be reading, and I'm still excited about the books I got through. But that means we need to go over there. Hold on. Oh, you want to come here? You want to sit with me? Come on over, Winnie girl. There's plenty of room. That's a weird... Okay, we're going to sit like this. Well, kids, we had a fantastic reading time, didn't we? We found a brand new fantasy series that I'm literally obsessed with. We read a somewhat spooky historical horror, and we had one major disappointment, but honestly, overall, I got to read a book early. I got an arc. Nothing makes me happier. So I think we're gonna wrap it up right here. If you had fun hanging out with me and the dogs, please subscribe. I hope you're reading good books out there wherever you are, and I'd love to hear about them. If you have read, what is this called? The Leviathan something. The Under the Leviathan, the Upside Down Leviathan. What is this series called? In this book, it says an Anna and Den mystery. I don't think that's actually what it's called. I think it's like Under the Something of the Leviathan series. If you've read this, please tell me you've read this. If you haven't read this, go read it. Just go read it. It's amazing. Like, what are you waiting for? Don't you want to read a good book? But thanks for hanging out with us once again, and I'll see you next time.